Picture this: Somalia, 1991. The country is a powder keg of political unrest, and Muhammad Farah Aidid is the match that lights the fuse. This guy is no small fry. He's one of the most powerful warlords in the country, and he's got his eyes set on toppling the communist dictator, Muhammad Siad Barre. So, Aidid succeeds, but here's the kicker. The country doesn't magically turn into a utopia. Nope, it spirals into chaos, a free-for-all where former military bigwigs morph into warlords, each vying for a slice of the power pie. Aidid's faction, the United Somali Congress, rises like a phoenix from the ashes, becoming a force to be reckoned with. Now, let's shift gears and talk about Aidid's family life. The man has 4 wives, and his first wife blesses him with 5 kids. The eldest, Muhammad Farah Aidid. Born in a remote town called Galkao, Hussein decides to chase the American dream at 17. He packs his bags, takes his 5 siblings and mom, and heads to the US. This is during a time when Somalia and the US are kinda like BFFs, thanks to the dictator Barre. Fast forward a couple of years, and Hussein is not just any immigrant, he's a US Marine. But get this, he skips the usual active service and jumps straight into the reserves. He's stationed in sunny California, juggling military life with college courses. The guy's got ambition, studying civil engineering, but never quite crosses the finish line to snag a degree. Alright, let's hit the pause button on Hussein's life and zoom back to Somalia. The country is in shambles, and famine is wreaking havoc. The United Nations steps in, but it's like trying to put out a forest fire with a water gun. Aidid's faction is not making things easy. They're basically the schoolyard bullies, hijacking food aid and messing with UN peacekeepers. By mid-1993, Aidid is public enemy no. 1 not just for Somalia, but for the US, and the UN's faction pulls a fast one, ambushing 24 Pakistani peacekeepers. The UN is so fed up, they slap a $25,000 bounty on his head. Enter President George W. Bush, who greenlights Operation Restore Hope. The mission: neutralize the militias and get food to the starving people. Now, here's where it gets juicy. Hussein, who's been serving in Iraq during Operation Desert Storm, gets tapped for a 4-month mission in Somalia. Why? Because he's the only US Marine who speaks Somali. He's not just a translator. He's the bridge between the American troops and, wait for it, his own father, Aidid. If some of this is ringing a bell, it's because Aidid's militia is the same one that tangles with American special forces in the infamous Battle of Mogadishu, also known as Black Hawk Down. For 3 intense weeks, Hussein finds himself in the eye of the storm, serving as the go-between for 2 worlds that couldn't be more different. So Hussein is smack dab in the middle of this high-stakes drama, acting as the linchpin between the US military and his father's militia. You'd think being the son of a notorious warlord would make things awkward, right? But Hussein navigates this tightrope like a pro. He's got 1 foot in each world: the disciplined structure of the US Marines and the chaotic, unpredictable landscape of Somali warlords. It's like he's living a double life, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Now, let's not forget that Hussein isn't just any Marine. He's an artilleryman with a knack for languages. He's got the brains and the brawn, making him invaluable in negotiations. But here's where the plot thickens. The US and UN are losing patience, and they're ramping up military operations to bring Aidid to heel. They're not just handing out food anymore. They're hunting for the big fish, and that fish is none other than Hussein's dad. Operation Restore Hope morphs into something more aggressive. The US deploys elite forces, including the legendary Delta Force and Navy SEALs. These aren't your regular troops. These are the best of the best, trained for high-risk missions. And guess what? They're going head-to-head with Aidid's militia in the streets of Mogadishu. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. You might be wondering, where's Hussein in all this? Well, he's right there, in the thick of it. He's translating, negotiating, and doing his best to keep the peace. But it's like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a broom. The situation explodes into the Battle of Mogadishu, a brutal, bloody conflict that leaves 18 Americans and hundreds of Somalis dead. It's a dark chapter in U.S. military history, one that exposes the complexities and pitfalls of intervention in a foreign land. And here's the jaw-dropper. Despite the chaos, despite the loss of life, Hussein doesn't abandon his post. He's still there, serving as an interpreter, even as the world around him crumbles. It's a testament to his resilience, his loyalty to his Marine brothers, and perhaps a complicated sense of duty to his homeland. But don't think for a second that this is where Hussein's story ends. Oh no, this is just the tip of the iceberg. After the dust settles in Mogadishu, Hussein makes choices that will forever alter the course of his life and plunge him deeper into the labyrinthine world of Somali politics and warfare. So, Hussein is back in the US, and things between the UN and his dad, General Aidid, have gone south, way south. The Marines decide it's time for Hussein to pack his bags and head stateside. It's 1995, and Hussein trades in his Marine uniform for a 9-to-5 gig at an engineering firm in West Covina, California. He's making $9 an hour and balancing part-time school. Sounds like a regular Joe, right? But hold on to your hats, because his life is about to flip like a pancake. Out of the blue, his dad, who's now self-proclaimed president of Somalia, though let's be real, no one else is buying that title, decides it's time for a father-son reunion. He ropes Hussein into the family business, which in this case is running a militia. So Hussein hops on a plane and heads back to the land of his birth. Now, here's where Hussein starts to flex his military muscles. His dad's forces take control of Baidoa, a major city in southwestern Somalia, and Hussein is thrust into a leadership role. He's not just pushing papers, he's in the trenches, leading troops and getting his hands dirty. And let's just say, he's a natural. He takes charge of military operations around Baidoa, hunting down rebels who dare to stand against them. But then, plot twist, his dad, Aidid, takes a bullet in a skirmish and dies a month later from complications during surgery. Now, you'd think this would throw the whole Aidid empire into chaos, right? Wrong. The clan elders and politicians are scrambling, but they've got a secret weapon. Hussein. At just 33, he's catapulted from a Marine corporal to, get this, the interim president of Somalia. Talk about a career leap. Hussein's got the charisma and resourcefulness to win over the militia, even though he's pretty much a newbie in Somali politics. He's riding the wave of his father's reputation, and it's working. But here's where it gets complicated. Hussein is a man of contradictions. One minute, he's talking about crushing his enemies, and the next, he's preaching peace. It's like he's got a devil and an angel on each shoulder, and he's not sure who to listen to. His forces are gaining notoriety for some shady activities, like robbing civilians, and some allies are starting to distance themselves. It's clear Hussein's still finding his footing. But then, another curveball. He starts collaborating with the US, tipping off the Bush administration about insurgent activities in Somalia. He even reaches a peace agreement with his father's old rival, Ali Mahdi Mohammed, leading to a joint administration of Mogadishu. So, what's the takeaway here? Hussein is a chameleon, constantly adapting and evolving. He's gone from a US Marine to a militia leader, from a peacemaker to a warrior, and everything in between. And just when you think you've got him figured out, he surprises you again. But here's where the story takes another wild turn. He gets ousted from his roles in the Somali transitional federal government. Ouch. But does he pack it in? Nope. Hussein's got more lives than a cat, and he's not done yet. He hightails it to Eritrea in 2007, and you won't believe what he does next. He teams up with a political consulting firm in Miami. Yeah, you heard that right. Miami. He's got his eyes set on the ultimate prize. becoming the rightful president of Somalia. And get this, he wants to mend fences with the US, the very nation he once served as a Marine. Talk about coming full circle. Hussein's got big plans, and they're not just about power and politics. He's haunted by the events of October 3rd, the day that turned Mogadishu into a battlefield and claimed the lives of American soldiers and countless Somalis. He wants to build a memorial in Mogadishu to honor those who fell on that fateful day. It's like he's trying to find redemption, not just for himself, but for his country. And here's the kicker. Hussein still holds onto the dog tags of a captured US pilot. It's like he's clinging to a piece of a past that's both haunting and defining. It's a complex tapestry of loyalty, ambition, and a quest for peace, woven through the threads of his life. So, what's next for Hussein? Will he achieve his dream of leading Somalia into a new era? Can he reconcile the warrior and the peacemaker within him? And what about his relationship with the US? Can he really bridge two worlds that seem galaxies apart?